Hello and welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the marketplace in Dark and Darker. So as you might know, the marketplace just recently was opened up after the 2-week solo self-found section of the wipe. So you weren't previously able to access it at all until now. So this video is just going to be a little introduction to the market for new and maybe returning players to just sort of help you get the most out of it and teach you a few little tips and tricks about the market to maybe help you on your way. So without any further ado, click on the trade tab up here. Now you'll see marketplace and trading post. You want to click on the marketplace up here, not the trading post. This is for something else. We're going to click on the marketplace up here. Also, something to note really quickly is you need to be at least level 20 and you need to pay a small little gold fee to register as a trader. Then you're all set to use the marketplace. Alright, so upon opening the marketplace, first you'll see all these UI elements at the top used to specify what gear you're looking for, and the reset filters and refresh buttons, and then you'll see all this random gear here. This is just the most recently listed gear, so if we click the refresh, you'll see it changes. So it'll just keep changing no matter how much you refresh it, and it'll all just be the most recent. So you see 6 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes. This on the left is the item name. So this is for if you know exactly what it is you're looking for. Say, for example, you're looking for a buckler or something, you can just type in the word buckler. So I'm going to go for a, let's see, say a club, and you'll see there, club. I can click on that, and then this will restrict the other filters. So let's say I'm looking for a rare club. Click on that one there. So when we go to class, you'll see there's only 3 in here. Now, if I hadn't had clubs selected, there would be all of them, but because these 3 classes are the only ones able to use the club. And the same with the primary slot, so you can see when I deselect club, we get all these options, but we go primary slot, and it only shows primary slot items in here. So nothing like a cape or some boots. Let's go back to the rare club. It's a mace type weapon, so again, same as the other things, it'll only show that. Now for the static attributes, these don't matter too much as weapon damage is set. So this is more just like the reinforced gloves here, for example, 4 vigor. See that? Ignoring the blue rolls, those are random, but these blue reinforceds, they're 3, purples are 4, the armor rating's different as well. Now the random attributes are the blue rolls you'll see here, like the strength, for example, on these purple reinforceds. Now the purples will get 3 rolls because they're purples, but if you look at, say, a blue reinforced down here, it's 2 rolls. Greens will only have 1 roll, and commons and below will have 0 rolls. These legendary leggings here obviously have 4. So let's search, and we've got all of these rare clubs here. So they're sorted by price. Just by default, you can change that to the most expensive or the cheapest if you want by clicking on the little arrow next to the search, but I'm going to leave it at that. So looking here, we can see this club here has pretty bad rolls, all the other ones too as well. So we're going to go to random attribute. We're going to look at all of these rolls. Out of all of them, action speed is typically one of the best rolls you can get for a melee weapon. But additional weapon damage is also a pretty good one. As you can see, there's no results, so we're going to take off rare just to have a little look. And you can see legendary and purple. Now these are obviously like twice the price, but we are going to stick to the rare club. So taking that away, let's look at the action speed roll instead. Which, like I said, it's pretty good, especially since it's a one-hander and it swings fast already. There we go, 289. See, that's quite expensive, so that's not really worth it. So if you were going to use a club, I wouldn't go with the action speed just because of how much more expensive it makes it. You're better off probably just going for one of the cheapest options, or as you can see that one right there, the 133, oh sorry, 111 had a little bit of PDR on it, so that's a little better if you feel like paying that little bit of extra gold. But anyways, moving on past the club, if we select Barbarian and Chest, we can have a little look to see just what the cheapest general options are for, chest pieces. Again, we're going to go with the rare because that's what we are looking into. As you can see, there's a lot of just not so very good gear here, like the scaled armor. The rustic tunic isn't a terrible piece. It's typically not super used, but it's really not too bad, to be honest. You get a good deal on it, and it's not a terrible piece overall. It is obviously more of a light chest piece for if you're trying to build speed, like the Adventurer's Tunic, the Grand Brigandine, the Leather Lamel, These are also not terrible pieces. They're a little bit more tanky. Not entirely just building for tankiness though. So if we take a look at leather lamels, you can see they start at about 100 gold. You're already seeing some, armor rating, a little bit of fizz power. That one's 13. That's not terrible. Personally, I wouldn't just buy the first thing you see that's not terrible though. I would look and sort of really just go through. That one has some cooldown on it. So we got strength, agi, vigor. Oh, 2 vigor. Well, that one has 2 vigor, 1 strength. That's not terrible. Some fizz damage bonus. That one also has some as well. Might come back to that one here. That's pretty decent for the price point. Agi, vigor. Just gotta really just look through them. I am slowing down my cursor here. But that one's pretty good. Yeah, I'll probably come back to that one. Yeah, we got 3 vigor there. It's pretty nice. You could grab that maybe and like gem something onto it. Action speed's always great. Or 3 vigor ones. To be honest, they're getting a bit expensive, so I'd honestly probably just come back and buy that one. For the price point, 133, it's pretty good. But anyways, moving on to the next thing I wanted to show off was I've got some random gear in my inventory here. Most of it I've just found, but we'll look at these cloth pants first. So you see 3 knowledge, 3 strength. So obviously knowledge is useless on something with dex usually. So we're going to search up using this big button in the middle. It says search, and it will just apply, rare cloth pants and modifiers. Obviously we want to take knowledge off because you can see this one, 3 strength, 3 knowledge. But that's obviously not going to sell. So here we've got 1 strength. You can see the cheapest one, 2 strength there, and then this one's 3 strength, but that also has 2 vigor. So that's obviously going to sell for a nice bit more. So you'd need to undercut if you wanted to sell a 3 strength one. You can also just check the base prices. You see there, it's 200 base price. This is because cloth pants have historically been kind of just the best legging piece, if not one of the best. Sorry, the best, if not one of the best, if not the best leggings in the game since its inception. So I'm just taking a look through and just making sure I know what to price. See, these are actually the equivalent, or the more or less equivalent of 3 strength. As you know, strength does obviously give you a tiny bit of health, but it's still pretty much the same thing with the 3% physical damage bonus. So I'll just undercut that one there. See, so I've undercut it by several, so anyone looking for, strength cloth pants, probably a barbarian would want those. They'll see that one pretty quickly and probably just snap it up without even bothering with the rest. So moving on to another piece. We've got these. Now, I know these look good because, it's a high rarity, but they're not very good because of the roll. Now, uniques were changed recently with this wipe. They've flip-flopped them back and forth. They only have 1 roll, but this roll can be several times higher. You'll also see this is the cheapest option, 300 gold. They're still worth something. Obviously, vendoring them will give you at least like a base price. But if you look at legendaries, ignoring that one because it's just an anomaly, the rest of these here are all more expensive. That's because legendaries are actually just kind of better than uniques because they've gear squished. So the base roll is, 5 vigor on both of these. It's like a difference of 1 armor rating. Not that big of a deal. But legendaries have 4 rolls, so 4 chances of getting something decent. Whereas the uniques, you need to not only get a good roll on it, but you also need to get a fairly high roll for it to be better than, a couple decent rolls on a legendary. So coming back to the uniques here, we can see there's not really any significant rolls. There's a bit of agi on the second to last one. It's nothing really too great. So I'm just going to leave those in the back and ignore those for a minute. Moving on to the next piece, you've got this purple mercurial cloak. It's a dex-based cape, but it doesn't have any good rolls on it. However, capes tend to be typically somewhat reasonably expensive, even without any rolls. So you can see there no results for all those rolls. Let's take them off. And 300 gold. That's not a terrible price for a dead roll. That one has 2% action speed. That actually might be a good... Yeah, there we go. We'll buy that up really quick. That one, we'll buy that one as well, actually. Now the reason I brought them is you can see 900 gold. So looking at this, 2% action speed, I'll probably do 900, I'll undercut it by a bit. It's just the action speed on there, and a bit of debuff. That's not terrible. Debuff duration bonus just reduces things like slow effects, for example, getting hit by like any dots, anything like negative debuffs. It's pretty decent. It's a bit of an underlooked stat for people that don't know too much what they're doing with the game. So I want to undercut at least 50 or so gold, so I'll do 849. And the other one, it's a little higher of a roll. We'll do it 869. And this might not sell immediately. The market could fluctuate. To be honest, they could go down. Put this one up for 279. And Nexus doublet here, it's got a bit of physical damage bonus on it, so it looks like decent enough initially speaking. However, the doublet is, like the cloth pants, historically bad. Sorry, unlike the cloth pants. It's never been too great. I think maybe right very early days it might have been a decent piece, but the stats on it just aren't too great, so people don't tend to use it, and it's only available on 3 classes that have better options. So for this one, you're better off just, you know, probably just vendoring it, to be honest with you. And up next we've got some Occultist boots. Now they are legendary. They have MDR and PDR, but nothing else really. Oh no, sorry, they also have cooldown reduction bonus. So as you can see, nothing pops up. So I'll just get rid of all of these rolls. The undead damage reduction is kind of useless. The cooldown, now that can be useful as sorcerers kind of rely on it because their spells are basically all just cooldowns. But if we have a look here, cooldown, it's 199 at the cheapest with, and then without 150, 175, 180. The cooldown doesn't seem to matter too much. Those are some action speed and vigor. It's not terrible if you're doing a melee build, maybe. Again, dex and some action speed. Those are actually kind of decent. I might just grab those for a kind of cheap little melee wizard build or something. Put those away, sorry. So for these, I'm just going to look at the cheapest option. We have 150 there, and I'm just going to undershoot that a little by 149. Now next up we've got the Chapelle. It's entirely dead rolled, but it is a legendary. However, isn't very good right now. And as you can see, there's actually some pretty good rolls here. We've got armor rating, vigor. If we search up vigor and armor rating, let's see if that's oh yeah, it has been undershot a bit. 2 vigor 13. Yeah, I'll probably buy that. And hold on to that or resell maybe. Probably just resell it. Yeah, I'll just do 333 to undercut. That's a decent little bit of gold. But anyways, moving on to these leather gloves here, we can see spellcasting, magic pen, additional memory capacity. Now the leather gloves have always been a bit weird because they have dex and will. Will is more of a caster stat, and dex is more of a melee stat. Technically speaking, however, dex does benefit casters in the fact that a casting, say like using a book or a staff, it still has an animation, and dexterity gives you action speed, and action speed speeds up that animation. So because of that, this isn't the worst thing in the world for a caster, but additional memory capacity tends to just be kind of overlooked because knowledge is just better, and magic pen is not the best stat in the world, but it has gotten better since true was removed, as it is obviously the only substitute. So we're probably just going to look at casting speed. It's 200 without it, 150, 158, 170. Yeah, it's not really. You'd probably be better off maybe ignoring and just undercutting. I'll probably just do 169, and that probably will just end up selling eventually. Might take a couple hours though, who knows. Anyways, on to the next. We've got this Viking helmet. Now, this looks like a pretty decent piece because you've got strength on it, right? Legendary Viking helmet, +3 strength. However, like the Chappelle, this isn't a very good piece. As you can see here, I'll take all the stats off. Only 90 gold, or 100. Several of them with 3 strength. Now, the reason for this is that it's 5 agi, but agi was recently nerfed, so 5 agi equates to about 2.5 move speed, meaning you're not even cancelling out the -3 move speed penalty from the hat. Now that being said, this one does equate to about, like a 5% damage increase because of the physical power. So I just brought that for later use in like a cheap barb kit perhaps. That little corner on the left, or just vendor. Now onto these Lightfoots. They have action speed and armor rating. And as per usual, when you search something up with all the rolls, ignore it if there's only one item like this. Because obviously you don't know how much they're actually worth. So let's search without. Now again, Lightfoots tend to be pretty desirable. They've always been pretty desirable. So the benchmark is about 170 for the cheapest one. You can see some action speed. These are all pretty cheap. It's just a nice... These are all pretty, like, decently expensive for what they are, dead rolled and all. But we're going to have a look at armor rating. That's not too much more expensive than base. So we'll take that off and look at action speed. Again, not too much more expensive than base. So what we'll do is we'll have a look. 177. So we'll just undershoot. Do 150, 59? Yeah, 159. That's a good 10, 20 gold sort of space underneath. Next item we have Legendary Club. It's just the action speed. The other 3 are useless. So we're just going to take those off. We're going to check it out. So quickly without 133. Yeah, definitely want to check it out with. So 177, 199, but then it hops up to 299. So these first 2 are kind of undershot. Interestingly enough, though, that 175 comparatively, it's got PDR and a decent high action speed roll. So I'm actually going to buy that. And I'm going to take a look just to make sure. Yeah, I'll probably do like 269. Then the last thing we've got here is a Servbow. So it's just got Fizz Power. Now typically Fizz Power on a Servbow, that's nothing special. Fizz Power isn't really something you want on a Servbow because it doesn't do a whole lot of damage for it to be boosted. Now this is a weird phenomenon. I'm just going to buy the 144 to resell it. So strangely enough, for some reason 2 Fizz Power is selling at 500 gold right now. Again, that doesn't make any sense because Fizz Power isn't something you stack with a Servbow. It's more for a recurve or a longbow. As it's, percentage damage, you'd prefer additional damage on a Servbow. So we're just going to have a little look, and they're all just 2 Fizz Power. Just deciding if I want to do undershoot this one or that one. Okay, yeah, I've decided. I'll go with 444, and then this one as well with 444. Now we've got this nice little Viking helm that we brought. That one, I'll just keep these 2 over here, and I'll put those away in a sec. But we're going to go to the stash, toss those in there. Now, have a little look at the price of this gear. So, you'll probably notice 80 gold. That was the same price on the market. Now, the reason for this is that obviously when you vendor something, it has a base price. So there's no point selling under that base price on the marketplace, is there? So people will list it at like a minimum of 80 gold for a legendary helmet, for example. So another thing to note along with that is there is a listing fee. So essentially a non-refundable fee will be placed as soon as you list something on the marketplace. And how this is calculated is it's either 5% or 15 gold, whichever the value is higher. So it would typically be 15 unless you're selling something expensive, meaning your 80 gold is getting dropped another 15 because of that, right? So just really not worth trying to sell something on marketplace unless it's above a certain amount. You're better off just selling it to the merchant as I'm actually earning more money. 280, that's actually more than I would earn if I'd sold these pieces to market. Yeah, but that's about all for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and please do consider subscribing if you enjoyed any of my content. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye bye.